Hello, thanks for tuning in to Channel Surfing. It's another episode of Down at the Dock. We thought today we'd spend a couple minutes and we'd do a walkthrough of our Ranger Tug R27 Outboard. This is from our point of view, not a sales video.
Well, and it's how we made it ours.
Correct. Right. We've had the boat now for 4 months. We've got over 160 hours on the engine, almost 2,000 nautical miles traveled. We've been using the boat all summer, having a blast on it. So we start out, she's 27 foot, 32 foot actually overall. The outboard adds a pretty big swim step to the back, adding to the length of it. About 7,000 pounds total. It's a 150-gallon gas tank, which gives us a range of probably a little over 300 miles. Actually, probably a little less than 300 miles. It depends. If we're up on plane doing 25, 26 knots cruising, we generally get about 1.5 miles to the gallon, 1.6. I've seen as high as 1.9 on really flat seas. But in general, it's about a little over 1.5 miles a gallon to expect. If we're going to go 10 knots or less, we can see 2, 3, 4 miles per gallon at slow speeds. And with the autopilot, traveling slow is just as easy as traveling fast. It just depends on what your schedule is and how quick you want to get somewhere. We like the outboard with the speed because it means that if we want to go 7 knots and take our time, we can do that. And if we want to outrun some weather, then we can also hit the throttles and we can do that. Get ahead of the weather, out of the weather, get what we need to do. So let's walk around. We picked the light gray, which this is the first year Ranger Tug has offered the light gray. They've had a dark gray offering beforehand. Most of the colors they have are dark colors. There's a dark red, there's a dark green, there's a dark blue are the most common. We wanted a lighter color and something that wasn't as the same as what most of the Ranger Tugs are out there. Interesting enough, when we took delivery of the boat, the factory let us know we were the first boat in 2021 to actually get the light gray. So I'm excited for other boats to come out with the light gray colors. We're not the only ones in the water with this, but we think it looks really sharp, really easy to do maintenance and stuff. We have washed and waxed it once so far this year.
Now on the bow of this boat here, they do have a seat. I didn't actually bring the cushions, but I'll put a picture of the seat there.
And then up on the mast, we've got radar. Obviously the big XX HD that you see. We've got the other UFO looking thing is actually a satellite. It's actually a HD antenna for the television. We don't use that all that often. There's not a whole lot on the airwaves to watch, and we're not big TV watchers anyway, which is kind of how we got our name channel taken. The very top's the anchor light, obviously, and then the Garmin XM54 satellite antenna receiver we just put on that gives us XM radio and XM weather on the Garmin part side. On the back of the boat, it's powered by a Yamaha 300 horse outboard. It's a V6 4.2 liter fuel injected. Prefers 89 octane fuel to get the most performance out of the engine, but it has NOx sensors built into it, so you can run 87 octane, you just get less horsepower out of it. We actually don't notice much of a difference in our cruising, but here again, we're not running a wide open throttle most of the time. We're just hitting the cruise, balancing the miles per gallon to get the most efficiency we can out of the engine. In addition to that, we also have a kicker on the other side. It's a 9.9 horsepower Yamaha high thrust kicker. So with the kicker, the nice thing with that is it's a remote throttle right here inside the boat. So put the keys in up here. This is the choke because it is carburetor, right? And then the up down to drop it into the water. It'll push the boat about 6 or 7 knots at wide open throttle for the kicker. Generally, when I run it, I want to do 2 or 3 knots or less. It's great for just pacing back and forth. Let's say I drop crab pots and I don't want to drop anchor, but I don't really want to go anywhere, and I'm just waiting an hour or two to pull the crab pots. I'll drop the kicker in because it burns a lot less fuel than the main engine will. They say at peak it'll burn 1 gallon per hour. Now, how do I steer with the kicker? The main engine is down in the water, kicker's down in the water, main engine's turned off, kicker's running. I've got a Garmin remote that I can sit here in the back cockpit and I can point and go that way, and the boat will turn and go that way. I can say go this way, the boat will turn and go this way. It's just following the autopilot guidance, and it's just a remote control for the autopilot. the steering is actually connected between the kicker and the main engine. So I could even be up the helm and I could steer with just the kicker running. The disadvantage is if I had to use the kicker to get me home in an emergency, docking would be challenging, because for docking you obviously are steering a lot, and the steering wheel is up in the cabin and the throttle is right back here. So forward and reverse would be back here. That would be challenging. But here and again, if it was a mechanical issue, it's going to get me close enough to shore. So in the back of the cockpit, there's a lot going on back here. So one of the things, you can open up, we've got an electric grill back here. Seat and sink with hot and cold water. This is hot and cold fresh water for the boat. In addition to back here, the electric grill comes out, but it's not a live bait well, but it's just a transom sink. Put crab in there. I could plug the hole and get a standpipe and make it into a live bait well. So the thing with the grill, it is an electric grill. It works best off of shore power. It will not run off the batteries. The batteries can't feed it enough juice quick enough. I've heard of folks being able to run it with the motor running. I've tried that with minimal success, so we only use the electric grill if we're hooked to shore power. Otherwise, we do all of our cooking in the galley with a 2-burner stove and an oven, which is still better than cold sandwiches.
He says we. It's me.
Other things, we have a ski pole back here. Alright, so we actually could go wakeboarding and stuff. The problem with that is that water is about 45 degrees. That aside, we actually use this for our dinghy, right? I've got a T connector as our cockpit storage. That's actually where we keep our dinghy, the oars.
Yeah, so people ask how our dinghy is. So see, it's deflates pretty easy. We have a special pump for it. So deflate it, it goes right back in its case. And it's really not all that much room.
And to tow the dinghy around, we just made this out of PVC pipe. Slips right on that. And then we just bring the dinghy in through the transom on the side. So usually Lazina's on the front, I'm in the back, and then we just lift the dinghy so the transom of the dinghy fits right in here and the bow goes straight into the other storage area. Got the port side lazarette. That's one of the 3 batteries. There's 3 more. There's 2 house bank, and then the thruster bank is right there. On the starboard side lazarette, we've got the engine battery in the stern, and that's a 6-gallon hot water tank for taking showers and so forth. And then we keep the rest of our electrical and hoses and stuff there. And underneath there, it's also got the autopilot, you know, the hydraulics for the steering. It's got the shore power charger. There's a galvanic isolator in there.
And you have 2 options with this boat, as you can get the storage compartment, or you can get the refrigerator, which we chose because we're tired of carrying a cooler around.
One of the things we talk about back here on the transom is actually a transom shower. This has hot and cold water to it. It's fresh water, not seawater. Comes out of here. And then also on the transom, this flips up, so we have a coil hose, and inside here there's 2 propane tanks. That's for...
There's another one behind that one.
That's for the stove and the oven. And that's where we keep our 2-gallon gas can that we use for the dinghy. So this actually connects to right here in the corner. And then there's an on-off switch right over there. This turns on and off the raw water washdown. So this is actually seawater that will come through this and give me a little hose. Really great for hosing down, you know, the cockpit and stuff. And then this is another seat similar to this one. It drops down. Right, and then there's a table that sits right here in the cockpit. It's about the same size as the dining room table for outdoor eating, which is kind of nice when the weather's really good. Back here we've got courtesy lights, and then the other switch is underwater lights that go in the back. They're actually connected to the trim tabs. It's a blue underwater light for attracting the fish and so forth. It's great when you're at the dock, you know.
Or great ambiance.
Yeah, great ambiance. We were at Deer Harbor and turned on the blue underwater lights and had hundreds of dock shrimp swimming on the back end of the boat, which was pretty cool to see. In addition, we've got 2 speakers. There's a speaker right there and a speaker right there in the cockpit for the music, and the music is set up into 2 zones. So you've got the cabin inside, which has 4 speakers, 2 in the V-berth and 2 in the main cabin. And then the cockpit is a separate zone out here. So I can have the volume turned on in there, but out in here, or I can have, you know, blasting out here and quiet in the cabin. So with that, let's move inside the cabin. So inside the cabin, it's fully enclosed. We've got a Bosco heater, so we actually have a 5-gallon diesel tank on the boat, and it'll heat this place up pretty quick. There's actually a fuel gauge we have for the diesel, which is really nice. Previous models boats didn't have a fuel gauge for the diesel tanks. You didn't know how full it was, but it's very efficient as far as the how much diesel it goes through. There's 2 places it'll put the heat in. The one vent is actually right down here at the foot of the helm, and then the other one is actually right around the corner inside the V-berth. In addition to that, we've got a 2-burner stove with an oven. It's all propane. Inside the dining room table obviously goes up or down quite a bit, and it also folds up. So when we're at sea, it's grab rails and a couple of drink holders. One of the things I want to show you too is the seat. This is apparently relatively new to Ranger Tug, doing the seat this way. So it serves as the dinette and the helm. So when I'm getting ready to go to sea, I come over here and I pull the seat up, and now it raised it several inches.
And it pulled it out.
And it pulls it out this way. And then I flip this back, and then I've got an adjustment lever so that I can move it forward or backwards for comfort. Right. In addition, it's got a step rail, collapsible foot right here, out of the way. So I can put 1 foot here, 1 foot over there, and that puts me up high enough to be able to see over the bow. I do that a lot for docking. So we get to where we're going, back this up, throw this back here, and put
Down
the
it
seat back.
This back.
This goes.
And you can actually seat 4 here pretty comfortable.
In addition, because the dining table goes up or down, this will lower all the way to the bottom, and then there's a fill cushion, and that makes this a bed for 2 people. Now the cave, talk about that too. We primarily use the cave for storage. Our daughter will always sleep under there.
Yeah.
When she comes out. She's
well, normally it's for her and I clean it out, but right now we just took a trip, just the 2 of us, and it's kind of a mess.
But the important thing to understand is the cave has been redesigned. See this extra step they have here and how this comes out to here? That makes the whole dining area up a little bit taller, but that gave extra space in the cave so that if you get under there, an adult actually can sleep in the cave.
You can sleep on your side, you can turn all around.
Right. So just show what the electronics look like. So this is the AC and the DC, what I mean the AC panel is what comes in there. So we've got an inverter on the boat, so I can say either I'm on shore power or I'm on the inverter.
Now this is the Bosco heater, and this is a new thing, right? That's the gauge for it, the gas, so you can tell if you're full or empty or where you are.
The bottom there is the solar panel electronics. That tells you what the panel is putting in. And that's going to fluctuate based on how much sun you have. Right now we're in a covered spot, so there's not much sun hitting it. The key thing to understand with the solar panel, it's a 140 watt panel, and that's assuming it had full sun and the sun was right on top of you. Do not assume that that solar panel is enough to power the boat. It is not. It is meant to augment and slow down the rate of decline. From an electrical perspective, I like to say the solar panel is going to take care of your refrigerator.
Before we go too much further, let's talk about the curtains. So they give you 3 curtains. So you have curtains for both the starboard windows, and then you have one here on the port side. They don't give you one here because of the oven and it being a fire hazard, but what you do have for all the other windows is covers that snap on the outside. Okay.
So this is what the covers look like.
Yeah, and they're shaped for each window.
Yep. And then this all comes with the boat as a standard option. It's nothing extra. So you just do that, and that provides privacy. In addition to this window,
this is another, well, this is one of the best seats in the house, I guess.
efficient, best seat in the
Yep.
house, hands down.
When we're shrimping and crabbing, our son's girlfriend loves this spot. So this opens, so there's 4 latches on the other side, and it's hydraulic assisted, so it's not going to slam if you let go of it. And then it just hooks right up there. There's a little Velcro tab, so it just kind of keeps it from doing a bunch of bumping around. And there is a little foot thing, so that goes back up when you're not using it, so you don't slam your shin on there. So here you have the oven, but I just wanted to show a couple things. So we just keep normal stuff that you would use on the boat. I mean, a few things. I try to find stuff that are small. So keep that kind of stuff in here. And these are great. These are little hot pots, so you don't burn your table. They're compact. They're the silicone. And then I use these kind of little dishes that pop up, pop down, you know, when you want to store stuff in your fridge. And so we have paper and real dishes on here. Most of the time we use, so I just have these little things so it shows what they are. So we just have the silverware. In these bins I have like snacks and stuff like that, and it's cereal, oatmeal. So this is how I personalize it for what we use. So I keep these little canisters. I have rice, coffee, and different things that we would use on the boat. Paper plates. I have some silverware back there. And here, I keep glasses and my dishes back in the back. And just a few things that I use. Some other cutting boards because I don't like to slice this one all up. And then this is the sink there. And then you put the cutting board on top. And for extra counter space, you have this. It would be nice if that went all the way down, but this is pretty nice to have this extra space. And the older models, their sink is moved to like right here. So they have the oven, and then their sink is here, and then their counter space. I like having extra counter space to work next to the oven.
I'd agree. I like the sink in the middle rather than next to the stove.
Oh, and no, we don't have mouse, but we have a puppy. So there's the refrigerator. And these are actually, don't mind the stuff in here. It's just a little bit of things left in the trip. These actually go really far back. Oh, now I'm touching the back. That's how deep they are. And the same with the freezer. What I like about it is it's as deep as the refrigerator, so you can get a lot of stuff in there. Here, there's actually a pretty good sized microwave. One more thing I forgot to talk about is this is awesome. The Ranger Tug does this. So you have a nice little shelf. It hides in and out. All my pots and pans fit here. So this is a nice magma set I just keep in here. A strainer. But it just all stores in here nicely. Done. You have all your dishes. You're not back and forth emptying your kitchen to come back and forth every time you want to go out in the boat. And you do have another little storage under there. Why don't you pull that out? And he keeps a miscellaneous little box that just has a few different things in it.
Electrical tape. I keep some spare fuses in here, some tie wraps, a couple little tools that I might need, you know, some pliers, that kind of stuff.
And underneath we also have, that came with the boat.
Yep, little medical kit.
It's actually a pretty good kit they put in there.
And our flares.
Yep, and the flares. And maybe there's some duct tape in there.
Yep, always need duct tape.
Yep. In another video we talked about this box and we added that. I'll just do it real quick in here. It just is things that he can put his hats, his glasses, and all that stuff in while we're underway.
So on the V-berth we've got, it's a 19-inch television.
And it moves, so if you want to, you can watch it from the table. So you just pull it all the way out here, and you can see it from the table.
Yep, and it's got a built-in, turn to the side. That right there is a DVD player built into it. That part we do use. We'll come down here and we've got a handful of DVDs and we'll pop a DVD in and watch a movie in the evening.
Yep.
It's also got a Keurig coffee pot. That's really important. That's where we mounted our fire extinguisher. For one, there's 2 of them on board. That's one of them. The other one's in the cave. Carbon monoxide sensor up there in the top corner on the port side. And then these white lamps actually have a couple positions. You can do it that way. You can do the top for less light.
I was gonna say you probably just changed your video.
So what we found is electrical. There's 4 of these lamps in the V-berth.
So down here, that's the window cleaner, and we keep certain things. And I have bins, so there's a first aid, or not really a first aid, but it has like Sinutas, blah blah stuff, Advil, things like that. And then I keep one that's labeled bathroom, which has deodorant, toothpaste, because like I said, I don't like to bring things back and forth. So I keep bins that's labeled. We have extra rags down here, extra bungee cords and stuff like that in there. Here, we keep. Want to talk about these?
Yeah, the portable batteries are really important. We run a lot of those, especially
when we're on anchor.
Yeah, especially the bigger ones. We're talking, 10,000, 20,000 milliamp hour kind of batteries. That's what we charge our tablets and our phones and stuff with. Because when you're on anchor, you've got these little USB ports like right there in the boat.
And there's quite a few of them on the boat.
But the problem with those is they come off of your batteries, and we're trying to conserve electrical on anchor, so those little portable batteries actually work out better.
Puppy bags, can't miss those. So we just have miscellaneous dog stuff in here. Controller, of course, important cribbage board. And then this is your closet. So we don't really use it as a closet, we just use it as our life jackets and covers and maps and stuff like that in there.
Right. That's where we keep our screens too. All the,
yep.
I'm going to talk about that, but all the hatches above, I have a screen, there's 4 hatches. Each one takes a screen. They're all the same screen,
yeah.
same
and they fit perfectly in here. Back in another video we talked about it as well. And then here, this is great when you're sleeping. It does help keep extra light because the curtains are a little bit thin like this one, but you can close it and you have your own privacy.
On the side we have the head.
This is beautiful. I love this. It makes it look very nice. So you have your shower, which goes up here, and then you control by turning it on here for the shower part, and then for water, of course, you have to reach around the shower. And then I keep 4 towels. I used to stack them up here on the window. Yeah, it's really just an extra large shower cap. Now I don't have to worry about it. Usually what I do when we're somewhere docked and we know we're going to be there for a few days, I take this, and this stuff's there. Now the shower is set up, and when whoever wants to shower can. If you want to do a hairdryer or whatever, which we usually don't. This is your tank for your sewage.
Yeah, it's a blackwater tank. There's a 30-gallon blackwater tank that has to be pumped out. Unfortunately, there's not a gauge that says whether it's a quarter, half, or 3/4 full. If that red light comes on, it's full. And there's a big mirror in the back.
Oh, yep. You want me to open it?
And then it opens. And opening it, let me get some light back there. So that's all the electronics behind the helms. This is the second set of fuse boxes.
Tells everything what it is. There's labels.
Yeah, and everything is all labeled. Ranger Tug does a phenomenal job of labeling.
Tells you everything.
Labeling everything.
Wired remote. Whatever, NEMA 2000.
Yep, the NEMA 2000 bus, which are where all those connectors are, in the back of the chart plotter.
So this is from yachtbedding.com. We've slept a few times. In another video we talked about it. These are the regular cushions, not quite so comfy. But yacht bedding, some people say they're kind of expensive, but sometimes I'd rather pay it than have to do all the work. You could actually get you a topper from like Costco or whatever and put it on here. This is a 3-inch topper. It's a bamboo. What they do, bamboo. You get a set of sheets, and I have a mattress cover right here. A little protection. Then you have this cover, and I put another blanket on here because it does get a little chilly, especially now. But it is well worth it. Whether you want to put time to make your own, or you just want to buy one like what we did. And it looks very nice. Down here, I keep a couple of these bins. And I will keep canned goods, snacks, or stuff in there. You can fit 2 of them right there. So there's one behind it. And then on the shelf up, that's actually where the table hooks to, and your feet, when you're sitting at the table, But I put our bags and stuff under there, so it's out of the way.
So one of the things we like at Ranger Tug is all the glass and all the hatches, right? So it's really easy to see visibility out the front and the side windows and stuff. And then the hatches have, you know, they're either fully closed, you can notch them up one and let just a little bit of air in if you're underway, or like if you're at the dock, you can move this up
You get a good airflow.
as far as you need, and a little adjustment knob.
Yep, and you have 4 in here. You have those 2 that's up front, and you have 2 right there, and then you have one big one
in the hatch.
in the bow.
Yeah, we always joke around and talk that the bow is like our air conditioning. You know, we get in on the dock in the summertime and it's really hot. We can open up the 4 hatches out here, you open up the back, and then if you open up the bow hatch, the wind will just run right through the boat and cool it off.
Did we talk about the lights in here? So you see these great light strips up at the top. I love those. And then we have, you can turn those on separate. We have the white lights that I think are less electricity than the other ones. We have just those, that, or navigational red lights.
Yep, or we can do chart lights.
There's your chart lights.
Up on the helm, to drive the boat, it's a nice two-person seat, so it's usually the dog and myself up here driving. So we've got a Garmin 8612 chart plotter. It actually has it connects to the NEMA 2000 bus, which basically is a network for all of your devices to connect to. So we've got a Garmin autopilot, and when we drive the boat, almost always are we using the autopilot. We'll disengage the autopilot to drive around other boats and obstacles and that kind of stuff, but it just makes driving the boat that much more comfortable that you're not actually sitting up here at the wheel most of the time. So in most of our other previous videos you see I'm actually not on the helm, you know, my hands are off the wheel, whatever. It's because the autopilot is doing all the driving, and all I'm doing is basically standing watch, making sure that we're not going to run into anything. With that NEMA 2000 network, that has the Garmin autopilot connects to this. The Yamaha control unit over here for all the engine instrumentation, you know, how much gas I got left, RPMs, and all that is communicated to the Garmin. The radar is communicated back to the Garmin as well. The XM weather integrates with it and brings everything into one screen. So I can actually, the controls for the radio I can control from up here as well if I wanted to. The controls for the autopilot I can do on the chart plotter if I wanted to. Even the controls for the Yamaha I can bring up on this screen.
So what are each of those things?
Chart plotter, which is basically it's a multifunction display, as they call them, MFDs, because it integrates everything. Autopilot, Yamaha engine controls, and then this down here is the Fusion radio. And this actually pops open and has a spot you can put your phone in there, and then USB in to your phone, and you can stream music and stuff to it that way and charge your phone at the same time. In addition, up here we've got windshield wipers, one on each side. The windlass control is actually up here, so you can deploy or retrieve the anchor. Retrieving the anchor, you pretty much need to be on the bow to help coil the rope, the rode and the anchor. Otherwise, it'll put itself in one big pile and bind up. But for deploying the anchor, it's really easy to do that here. I go up there, release the anchor, and then I can sit up here, and while I'm driving backwards to set the anchor, I can let the anchor rode out from right here without having to go outside. The rest of the switches, obviously your aft, forward, mid bilge. It's got a macerator, right, which we can't use in the United States unless you're way offshore. VHF radio, which ties in and gets its GPS position off of the chart plotter. It's a DSC radio with an MMSI number. So with the MMSI number, what would happen is once I have it all registered and programmed into the radio, then if we're ever in an actual disaster at sea, like we're sinking or need help or whatever, I can flip this button up and hit the red button, and it will transmit over VHF my position and that MMSI number. Now the Coast Guard is going to know the position I'm at, I need help, and they're going to know make, model of my boat, they're going to know my cell number, my wife's cell number, everything they're going to need right away. It saves a lot of that to get help on the way quickly. Really nice safety feature to have. We
don't want anything like that to ever happen, but it's nice to know that it's there if you need to use it.
And the simplest way to get an MMSI number, if you don't have one or haven't heard of that, is Boat US. I've been a member of Boat US for many years. The annual membership's like $25 a year. They also sell boat insurance. That was actually how I got signed up with them to begin with. But you pay your annual membership fee, and then they do the MMSI number at no charge. Right, and they also do on the water towing and stuff. So I usually, will pay for, call it like AAA for the water, right? If I get broke down, run out of gas, have engine trouble, need a tow back, I've got an insurance policy with Boat US. It's I think it's $100 and something a year for unlimited towing on the water. If you've never been towed on the water and need to be, it's expensive. Somebody's got to launch a boat, come out and get you, and they charge you for every minute of that. Also, another thing is I have a bow thruster on here. Turn the bow thruster, button, turn it on or off, and that just moves the bow one way or the other. It helps on docking and so forth. The thing with the bow thrust to understand is it's not going to overcome current and it's not going to overcome wind. Right, so you still got to be able to drive the boat, but it is a nice to have, and we do use it. We put the suicide knob on the boat, and that actually helped a lot because then I could swing from starboard to port much quicker, and that actually helped enormously on docking. So much that I don't use the bow thruster all that much
And
anymore.
if you want to see the video where he talks a little bit more about that and how he docks, it's in the system upgrades video.
And then there's trim tabs right over here. Trim tabs up or down. We didn't talk much about those. Primarily I use the trim tabs just to balance the boat. The boat is heavy on the port side.
So if you look at our boat, the reason it's heavy on the port side is you have 2 refrigerators, an oven. That's why there is 1 seat, and all your seating's on the other side. I guess if you have guests, you will equal the weight out that way.
Right. And there's also 3 batteries on the port side.
Oh, yep.
And only 1 battery on the starboard side. The engine battery starboard, the 2 house and the thruster are on the port side. So it just makes the boat naturally want to go to the port. And it's standard rotation of the prop too, which wants to make the boat go to port. So as soon as we're out there and getting up on plane, the boat's always leaning to port. So I'm always using the tabs to balance the boat. Thanks for watching this episode of Channel Surfing down at the dock. We hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to click the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. That way you get notifications when we release our other videos.
Well, you got to hit the bell to get the notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.
Yep.
That's important.
And subscribe. That's the most important part. That way you can join us on our adventures in channel surfing.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We got plenty more adventures coming.
Stay tuned for more channel surfing.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time.